When the needle finally became stationary, they attempted to reproduce the effect by placing a steel tape near it with negative results. Years later, Professor Charles Thomas visited crop circles in Wiltshire and Cornwall, armed with a sturdy brass-cased P-11 aircraft compass, the kind that once accurately guided the bombers during World War II. His objective was to see how a magnetically sensitive instrument would react inside a crop circle. So he went into the key formation in 1991. Thomas was surprised to see a deflection in the predicted compass bearing by as much as 15 degrees east. This acute difference was strongest in the center of both circular areas of the pictogram, and especially when the P-11 was placed 3 feet above the ground. Further, the new bearing moved in the same direction as the lay in the flattened stalks. When P-11 was placed on the ground, the needle performed just as erratically, this time going 5 to 10 degrees west before finding north again. In the company of CCC, that's one of the investigators, and his vice president, George Bishop, Thomas visited a grouping of new circles in Cornwall, where he was again surprised by compass deviations. The process of crop circle formation in these cases appears to have produced a local magnetic anomaly detectable with a reliable instrument. This appears to be linked to the direction in which the stalks are flattened, and that the strength of the anomaly appears to vary with the distance from the ground level. One theory is that the magnetic field is created at the time of formation and decreases through time. Silver says, he said, I too have encountered compass anomalies with varying degrees of deviation depending on the age of the crop circle. With the triple Julius set, the compass needle had trouble locating north, and it wobbled as if confused for at least 10 minutes before settling down. Since 1927, clues have hinted at the involvement of magnetism in crop circles in the form of magnetization of watches, pocket knives, and bicycles. In recent times, a Japanese researcher found that a battery pack with 14 hours of battery juice left on it drained instantaneously when it got into the space of the crop circle. 14 hours on there before we knew. Silva says he's loaded fresh batteries into cameras and photographed successfully outside the formations, but the moment he crosses a circle perimeter, the batteries are drained instantly. As the BBC well knows, video equipment suffers from interference and performance failure. Some of their photographs showed how their cameras weren't working. It wasn't altogether clear, but I think that's what they're talking about. Photographic cameras fare no better. Reports of buckled shutters, failed drives, and loss of power abound. There were hundreds of reports of failed photographic equipment. The year 2000 in particular turned out to be an expensive one for camera equipment. The ominous signs of trouble begin inside the Lotus Flower Formation by Golden Ball Hill. Any equipment with LCD liquid crystal display began to polarize. Holiday gaze monitoring devices were registering extraordinarily high frequency readings. Then my camera failed. A few days later, I went to the lab to find out if my prized Nikon had made any recovery. Technological diagnosis was not happy. Fried circuit board, very unusual, interesting. We had a record number of identical problems. This camera repair guy problems with cameras this summer. And the strange thing is, all the owners claim they've been out there in the crop circles. I really don't believe in crop circles. Somehow he didn't seem so adamant after I finished telling him where my camera had been. Mobile phones, which rely on electromagnetic frequencies to communicate with local towers, are also prone to crop circle energy interference. Holiday Day found the conversation with his father abruptly stopped the moment he crossed the perimeter of the key formation. The meter on the phone indicated that no signal was present whenever he walked into the crop circle, yet it shot up to full power whenever he left the crop circle. To prove this was not a coincidence, he proceeded to walk around the entire field. Had the same results. The area inside the crop circle prevented the signal from reaching the phone. Not surprisingly, this was the moment that the admitted skeptic, the guy said this is when the skeptic dived headfirst into crop circle research. It's worth pointing out that the formation was not a regular circle, but a complex dumbbell with a chiseled hinges. Some of these are pretty artistically complicated. At Warminster, a tractor harvesting a field lumbered through a circle and their entire electrical system in the tractor failed the minute they came into the crop circle. The tractor got in there and stopped dead. Farmhands were asked to push start the machine, eventually towing it across the circle. Yet as the tractor emerged on the other side, everything started back up again. A separate incident in Everly involved a tractor seized by what the farmer described as static discharges which shone like sparks over the body of the vehicle. The next day, a single circle appeared at the same place in the field. At the weirder end of the scale, I love this word. Farmers also report the deflating of perfectly sound, powerful, brand new, heavy-duty tires. Tires designed to outlast the life of the machinery. In all incidents, no sharp objects or punctures were present. Tires went flat inside the crop circle. This is where your documentation is, John. Remember, these are no-nonsense people with their hands too full running their farms to waste time on supernatural fun. The electromagnetic energy that may be causing these problems appears to be present some distance above the ground, exerting a temporary debilitating effect on airplane engines. In the early 1990s, a helicopter pilot regularly flew over the crop circles. He got so fed up that with the equipment in his cockpit going haywire that he refused to fly over that airspace anymore. And that could be dangerous. He says, if these incidents sound expensive, they are. But a shot of retail therapy won't make you happier. One man had the magnetic strips on his credit cards stripped away. While others left cooking in the hot interior of his car were untouched. They weren't in the process. In the triple G, he says that's the one that goes around like this, and it's got little fractals all around the edges there. There's 3 little tails. It's a very complicated one. Okay. In that one, he said, I met 2 men using digital clocks to look for discrepancies and missing time. That was another thing. Time would be different inside and outside the crop circles. Leaving one clock miles away at their accommodation, they kept the second one inside the formation for 20 minutes. When they later compared both timepieces, a discrepancy of 5 minutes had occurred on the 2 clocks. Several accounts exist in which time appears to have been altered. 3 of them were around that particular crop circle. The effect can be physically experienced, and Silva says he's walked into crop circles to perform a simple task requiring only a few minutes. Only to find, after he goes back to meet his friends, that he's been arriving hours later. Mine is not an isolated case, he says, as many researchers, furious wives will tell you. Sometimes there's a trilling noise. Sometimes there's a whir. There are noises associated, though, that have been identified by people in the area.
Have
The
people
farmers
recorded those?
in the area, John.
Have people recorded those sounds? Have people recorded
Yeah,
those
John,
sounds?
do you have your phone? Remember what you showed me when you went to, you Googled crop circle noises? John's got one right there.
Okay.
Could this be weather related? I mean, has anybody researched that? I'm from Iowa, and we have cyclones instead of tornadoes. and I've seen some strange things.
Yeah, but they don't make little nests with a little single stone.
They do.
Not all the time.
No, these intricate things, but the wheat field that we saw a lot of, that looks like a weather-related.
They're different all the time. There's all, they recur year after year. Yeah, John.
You say crop circles have been seen in other parts of the world. And my curiosity is, were they in the same crop? Is it always wheat?
Oh, he said
No, corn.
rice in Japan. It depends on what crops you're living there.
Yeah.
He said he's found in rice fields in Japan and corn fields in,
Were they the same designs?
yeah, well, I don't know.
Well, I couldn't help but be struck. I'm watching these and I have no idea. I have to admit, I'm a little bit skeptical, but at the same time, I'm intrigued. As I'm watching the loop behind you as you were talking, I swear to goodness, my background in archaeology shows me that there are several of those layouts that look like the layout, for instance, at Chaco Canyon. One of them looks like the Serpent Mounds in Ohio Valley. Many of them look reminiscent of the designs that you find on pottery or in jewelry from various parts of the world. I swear to goodness, there's one in there that looks like a scarab and one that looks like the necklace of an Isis from Egypt.
Yes, I
And
was
then there's
thinking
one in
same
the
thing.
background that looks like, or right towards the very end, that looks like identical to the design you see on black on white pottery out of Members in New Mexico. I mean, I have no idea if there's any significance to that at all. And the fact that I see it, it looks interesting to me, but I just think,
Were
wow.
there any designs that didn't look like anything that had ever been seen on Earth before? That would me imply an
That would be
alien.
interesting, yeah.
Well, some of the designs are sort of like, for example, some of them are like solar systems. They're like
cultures.
bigger than
Well,
just
that's
the
what I'm
Earth.
wondering.
Yeah,
Not
that's
just
where these
man-made.
are.
I mean,
Yeah.
What people
solar
say
systems are
is
not man-made, and some of the patterns are like solar
I can't say I've
systems.
never seen it.
And why just certain parts of the Earth? I grew up in Kansas. I spent the first 25 years of my life in Kansas, the center of the wheat belt.
Yeah.
Never, and now that's also the center of the aircraft business. There are a lot of people flying around all the time. Never any crop circles any place
They
around.
don't have it as much other places. England seems to be their favorite place.
And why?
Well, there was
Well,
a clue
I'm
as to
gonna
what
say
this is all
Stonehenge right
about.
there. I
Yeah.
mean, just, there's a lot of that sort of stuff up
A
in
lot of that
England.
stuff, like Stonehenge and ancient mysteries, that seem to show up in southern England, but they're not.
Not just
limited.
that, Scotland, I mean, it's
Scotland.
all over the British
But
Isles.
he says, remember I said he's got, trying to see, I wrote on here somewhere the different things, the different crops in different places, but rice would be one in Japan, and
They're not documenting which are man-made and which are natural.
these
And
are all pretty much real.
I mean,
Not many.
Not man-made.
These are not man-made.
they're documented as not man-made.
Now, see, I find that to
Yeah.
be very interesting, because it's
Yeah.
like, that to me seems more like a hoax, because it's like, this is an alien looking at you.
See, that looks like a
But
design
if
of
you look
Members
at the one
pottery.
that looks
I
like
swear to goodness, I
a,
think I've seen pictures if I don't have it.
jellyfish,
The design on a Members black and white pottery.
right.
Plus, they all have these tracker marks through them.
Yeah,
Something is too regular.
yeah.
I think that's the whole
Yeah.
point, so.
Outside
It's
of
very
maybe a couple of
precise.
examples, and then, outside the mathematical properties, has there been much success at decoding or understanding what these symbols
That's where the
might be
mystery is. They
suggesting?
don't know who makes them. They don't know, they know that the ones that are not man-made, I mean, the ones that are man-made, everybody says, okay, Doug and Dave made those. But the ones that are still not understood are the ones that Doug and Dave didn't make.
Yeah, I
How
can
much
only think of
research has
two.
been done on anything below the surface in the ground that might have given rise to some of these as having been more frequent in some parts of the world than others? Do we know?
I don't see any government studies either. Why is there no?
Government probably knows more than you're not talking about.
Yeah.
Because that's why the English government didn't want anybody to go out there, and they, scared them off with helicopters.
Way
And
out in southern
and
Arizona.
we don't know, I mean, let's imagine for, just for fun, that the government's doing stuff nobody knows about, and they don't want anybody to know about, like the food fighters. But we don't know that. But there are mathematical, eternal, international, ancient patterns that recur that have got meaning in embedded in them.
That's honest.
Okay.
There are meanings in some of Da Vinci's stuff. Da Vinci was kind of on to the meanings in mathematics, sacred geometry, the embedded reality that's in mathematical relationships. And the crop circles are good at using those relationships. What they say exactly is up for grabs. Everybody's kind of got to figure out their own.
In one of them, or actually at least two of them, though, they are much more explicit. On the one that comes up here where there's the alien and the big circle.
Yeah.
That right there.
If you look at what's within the circle, some people think that's binary code. And there have been people translating that. I don't remember what the translation means, but there have been people that have translated that as binary and tried to get a message out of it. In another case, there was a crop circle that seemed to be an answer to the Arecibo message. The Arecibo message was a message sent from the